This is the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
On third and long, Rice to Ismail for a touchdown. The fake, the throw, the touchdown to Frank Jacobs, who caught only one pass all year for Notre Dame. He's got one for a touchdown in the Fiesta Bowl. Rice keeps, and does he get in? Yes. He lurched forward and able to get the ball. That was the only thing that got in the end zone, but that's what counts. And there it is, the final seconds tick away, and Notre Dame will duly celebrate a national championship. No doubt the Irish are number one.
Some memorable moments. That was the great Dick Enberg with the call as the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame won their last national championship over West Virginia back in 1988. Welcome back to Morning Air. I'm John Morales along with Glenn and Sarah. Thanks so much for joining us here on Relevant Radio and the Relevant Radio app. The countdown continues for tonight's college football playoff national championship game as number 7 Notre Dame takes on 8th-ranked Ohio State at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Notre Dame defeated Penn State 27-24 in the CFP semifinal at the Orange Bowl to get to the championship game. That game was tied at 24-all when the Irish came up with a huge interception, and then Fighting Irish kicker Mitch Jeter drilled a 41-yard field goal with 7 seconds remaining to seal the victory, as heard on ESPN.
Aller hit as he throws, and it is intercepted! Christian Gray picks it off! 41-yard attempt. Snap and hold are good. The kick is good!
We knew this was going to be a heavyweight fight, and that's a really good team we just faced that wasn't going to quit. But I told our guys, we've been here. We've been right here in this position before. And they believed and they got their job done. And really proud of them.
That was Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman. Notre Dame is looking to claim their 12th national title in school history and the first one since 1988. Meanwhile, the 8th-seeded Ohio State Buckeyes are back in the championship game after cruising by Texas. Jack Sawyer scored on an 83-yard fumble recovery against his former team to help Ohio State take down the number 5 Longhorns in the Cotton Bowl.
Pressure comes. Sawyer knocked it out and picks it up. Jack Sawyer headed down the sidelines. Ohio State scoop and score and dagger from 82 yards.
And the Ohio State University Buckeyes are playing for their 9th national title and their first since 2014. Joining us here on Morning Air is the legendary football coach Lou Holtz, a college football Hall of Famer and one of the most successful college football coaches of all time. Lou Holtz led Notre Dame to their last national championship back in 1988. He's also served as a CBS Sports and ESPN analyst for many years. Coach Holtz was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for his many contributions to our nation. Holtz and his wife are the parents of 4 children and grandparents to 9. Coach Holtz, thanks so much for joining us. It is a joy and an honor to be with you here on Morning Air and Relevant Radio.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope you feel that way when this interview's done, but it's my pleasure. It really brought back a lot of great memories listening to the replays of the various games.
It's great moments in Notre Dame history that we played there at the top, and obviously there's more history to be made tonight. As a former coach, what are you most excited about tonight's matchup between these 2 storied programs in Notre Dame and Ohio State?
Well, there are so many reasons why you'd have to be excited. I think Ohio State's the best team in the country. They have the highest NIL payroll. They're very well coached, offense, defense. Coach Day's put together an outstanding team. But I think Notre Dame has a great culture going right now. And I think that will prevail in the long run. We'll have to wait and see. But Notre Dame has gotten this far. I think they will get the rest of the way. But the secret to being Ohio State is like Michigan did. Number 1, you have to be able to run the football. The old cheer, 1st and 10, do it again, is really apropos in this game. Be patient. But if you're going to run the football, you can't have penalties. You can't have holding calls. You can't have turnovers. And remember this, the football is so important. They even named the game after it, so let's take care of it. So if we can control the ball, all the great talent Ohio State has on offense will not be able to play because they're going to be sitting on the bench. We get into the fourth quarter, big close game. We're used to being in close games. Ohio State not so much. And I think Notre Dame will find a way to win. I think Notre Dame can win a one game. I don't think we can beat them 3 out of 5.
Well, Coach, it's got to be really, really exciting that you will be at the actual game in Atlanta there at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'm sure it'll be a tremendous atmosphere tonight. It'll bring back, I'm sure, many memories for you as well.
Yes, it will. I'm not going to the inauguration. I'm going to the game because I think that's by far the most important. It will be exciting. I think there'll be a great atmosphere, and the game will go down to the wire. I think that's where it should be in the national championship game. And let's remember this. People think I'm anti-Ohio State. Nothing could be further from the truth. I was raised in the state of Ohio. I went to Penn State in Ohio. I coached at Ohio State under Woody Hayes. We won the national championship, and there's no coach that had a greater influence on my life or on my belief or philosophy of coaching than Woody Hayes did. So I owe a great deal to Ohio State. But then again, there's only one Notre Dame. I was there for 11 years. It's a very special place. So 2 great teams, but I think Notre Dame will prevail.
It's so special for you to have that unique connection to both programs, to both universities. I used to love to hear you talk about the lady on the Golden Dome in South Bend. I know how special being the head coach of Notre Dame for you was all those years.
Well, it really is. What makes Notre Dame special isn't the football team. Remember this, that when the Notre Dame Golden Dome burned down in 1880. Father Sorensen said the reason it burned down, we didn't build it big enough, and we're going to build it so that people can see it from miles away. And this was before Notre Dame ever had a football coach or even a football team. So it's just a special place. Being a Catholic, being religious, it was special where you could talk about your faith, your belief. You could talk about the various things with the teams. You didn't have to worry about them calling the president complaining about your religious beliefs.
Despite the Fighting Irish having won 13 games in a row, I know you consider Ohio State to be the last team standing as the best team in the country. So it's going to take a lot for Notre Dame to knock off the Buckeyes. Can you talk a little bit about some of these key players on both sides of the ball for the Irish and the Buckeyes? I know quarterback Riley Leonard has done a tremendous job leading the offense for Notre Dame.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think when you look at Love, who's certainly an outstanding running back and has such great speed, as he went 98 yards, I think, against Indiana in the first playoff game. So, but we have an awful lot of talent, but I think our defense is really what makes it special. And if I was coaching Notre Dame, I would say to the defensive back, just think about how many pro teams are going to look at the receivers from Ohio State because they've had some great time. By the same token, this is a chance for you to really enhance your draft solicitation by being able to cover them. So it would motivate you to watch the film, study the receivers, study their passing game, get to know them better than they know themselves. And I think that will be a big difference. If we can play a man-to-man, which we have been able to play everybody else, and I think our secondary is absolutely outstanding, then I think we have a chance. We have to be able to play a man-to-man. We got to be able to stop the run with the people up front. But Ohio State is not content on running the football. So don't worry if I make a few yards running the football. Let's make sure that we don't give them anything they don't earn. Make sure that they have to drive the length of the field. And this is what Michigan did to them. But if you can control the football with your offensive line, we really have an outstanding offensive and defensive line. If we can do that, we can frustrate them. Make no mistake about it. And that's why I think Ohio State is a great football team, but will lose to Notre Dame because of the battle up front.
Well, Coach Holtz, you mentioned Michigan. Of course, Ohio State lost again, I believe, for the fourth year in a row to their arch rival, Michigan. And Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois in a real shocker earlier in the season. Can you talk about how both of these teams have overcome adversity and have find themselves in the championship game?
Well, Ohio State is really an outstanding team. Having coached there, I know how important the Michigan game is. I remember in 1968, we played them for the right to go to the Rose Bowl and play Southern Cal and O.J. Simpson for the national championship. And we scored late in the game, went for two, and beat them 50-14. And they asked Woody Hayes, why'd you go for two? He said they wouldn't let me go for three. I mean, that's just the attitude the Ohio State people have. It's such an important game. Now, as far as Northern Illinois is concerned, it's one of the few times I called Coach Freeman, as I told him, I'm not going to call you after you have a great win because you have all the alums telling you how great you are. But I called him after that because when you play a team like Northern Illinois, your offense has to show up. Your defense is going to play well, but if your offense shows up, you put 24 points on the board at halftime. They don't even think about winning. You discourage any thoughts they have of pulling an upset. And lo and behold, he has done a tremendous job. But also, by the same token, let's look what's ahead of us. We can't control what happened at Northern Illinois, but we have a schedule. We can win out and get in the playoff and have a chance to win the national championship. Now, remember this. What happened the third year for Air Precision, Dan Devine, and Lou Holtz? That's right. We all won the national championship. And guess what? This is the third year for Marcus Freeman. So I just think some things are meant to be. And I believe Notre Dame's first national championship was 1924. And here we are, year 2024, 100 years later. I think it's going to happen again.
Well, Coach, what you say about head coach Marcus Freeman of these present-day Irish is so true. I'm so impressed with his leadership, just his fortitude, his attitude. He's really led this Fighting Irish team to the title game. And I wanted to bring in a spiritual aspect to all of this. This tradition of going to Mass as a team for the Fighting Irish, something that he brought back. Do you think that has had an influence on some of the success that they've had this year?
I can't believe that Notre Dame hadn't always gone to Mass right before the game. Now, the only change I made when I went to Notre Dame, they had the Mass very early on Saturday morning. I changed that. The last thing we did, we had our pregame meal. Then we went to Mass. We went to Mass in the Basilica. Then after the Mass was over with coat and tie, we walked from there over to the stadium for the game. That was the last thing we did. And I guess they changed that after I left. I don't know. But being a religious part of Notre Dame is very, very important, as I would tell the athletes we recruited them. I'm talking about we had Muslims, we had Catholics, we had Protestants, we had Jewish, we had all of them. That you don't have to participate in our religious event, but you have to show tremendous respect for it. And this they did. And so I thought that the Mass was always very, very important. And the last thing you did was during the Mass, we have a segment there with Catholics. Let's exchange a sign of peace with one another. Before a big game, I mean, that would take 20 to 25 minutes, and that's not an exaggeration. The players loved one another. The thing about Notre Dame, at the Mass, we understood the obligation we have to our fellow team members. If we want to fail, we have the right to fail. We do not have the right to cause them to fail because we don't do everything we can within our power to win the football game. So I think it's a great thing. And the thing about Marcus Freeman that I think is special about him and what is special, he's the first coach since I was there who truly loves Notre Dame. Now, that's just an assumption on my part, but Marcus Freeman loves Notre Dame, and Notre Dame loves Marcus Freeman. I think that's an important ingredient to love the university.
And, Coach, that love of Notre Dame, I'm sure, has rubbed off on his starting quarterback, Riley Leonard, who seems to be so excited to be a first-year player for the Fighting Irish, finding himself in the national championship. And he's a strong faith guy. I'm so impressed with how he shouts out and gives honor and glory to our Lord Jesus Christ after some of these victories. I understand that he's part of a Bible study there at Notre Dame, where 40 guys show up on Thursdays for a Bible study.
Well, I would say, where's the other 60? That's my feeling. I mean, but, you have to have a strong faith in God in anything you do. I don't know how people get by without it. Now, having a strong faith in God doesn't mean you aren't going to have problems, difficulties, or obstacles. What having a strong faith in God enables you to do is to handle the difficulty. I'm an old man. My birthday candles cost more than cake. And one thing I understand, we're always going to have problems. We're always going to have challenges. That's part of life. And the important thing is that we reach out and help people, because everybody needs a smile, a kind word, and encouragement.
Well, Coach, there's no doubt that you're one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. Can you briefly share with our Relevant Radio audience the importance of your Catholic faith and the role that it had in your success? I will never forget your basic principles: the do right rule, do the best you can, and the golden rule. WIN, what's important now?
That's it. I was raised a Catholic on both sides of the family, grandparents. My grandmother went to Mass every day of her life, very religious. My wife was very religious. But what I learned is by having a strong faith, and as an older boy, I prayed. And when I decided to be a coach, I wanted to coach at Notre Dame, but that wasn't possible. I never thought about coaching at Notre Dame because up until the time they hired our Parsegian, they only hired alums from Notre Dame, and I obviously wasn't smart enough to go to Notre Dame, nor could we afford it financially. So when they hired our Parsegian, that's when my objective changed. And I just put my faith in God and let him lead me wherever he wants, and whatever happens, that he will give me the courage to be able to handle it. You talk about our national championship. There were 3 times we finished second. It was disappointing, but nobody remembers who finishes second. They only remember who wins the championship. So let's hope tonight we can finally pass the torch to the new generation of Notre Dame fans.
Coach, what advice would you give to young men, maybe young athletes, about overcoming impossible challenges and embracing that hard work ethic that you yourself practiced for your entire career?
I think the most important thing we can do to our children, and we try to do with our athletes, is make good choices. Wherever you are in this world, because of choices you make, you choose to do drugs, drop out of school, join a gang, get tattoos from head to bottom, get arrested. You're choosing to have difficulty in life, and stop blaming me for the choices you make. Now, wherever you are, if you don't like where you are, you find yourself in a bad situation, you have to change the choices you're going to make. And the most important choice we have to make every day is the attitude we're going to have. God didn't put us on this earth to be average. Let's be the very best we can possibly be. Let's follow those 3 rules. We're complicated. The do right rule. If you have any doubt, do what's right. And why is the do right rule important? Because you cannot have a relationship with anybody, including your wife, your players, or anybody else, if it's not based on trust. And the only way you can make sure everybody trusts each other is if both sides always does the right thing. Rule number 2, do everything the best of your ability. Not everybody be All-American. Not everybody be All-Conference. Not everybody be first team. But everybody can be the very best they're capable of being. And rule number 3 is probably the most important. Show people you care, because we all need courage, but we all have problems and difficulties. And if people remember this, when people need love and understanding the most is usually when they deserve it the least. That applies to our children as well.
Coach, you are one of a kind. It is such a joy to be with you. It's going to be a sensational championship game tonight. It sounds like you're pulling for the Fighting Irish tonight. Final thoughts.
Well, the players have formed a club called Holtz's Heroes where they help one another. For example, we've had athletes pass away. When an athlete passes away, another athlete is assigned that family to make sure they have all the academic resources to be successful, and to make sure those children know how special their father was. what a good player he was, what a good person he was. I want them to make sure they understand they come from a great background and one they can be proud of their father. That's just one of the things we do. But no, I loved Ohio State, but they didn't build a statue to me. I guess Notre Dame needed a place for the pigeons to land. I don't know. But in any event, that's life.
Coach Holtz, thank you so much for being with us. It has been such a joy. Go Irish and play like a champion tonight.
Amen. Not only play like a champion, let's live like a champion. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That was a legendary football coach, Lou Holtz, a College Football Hall of Famer. Like what you just heard? Share it with your family and friends. And thanks for listening.